go on a Tuesday on the CHGO Bears Podcast presented by Pointsbet. Use code CHGO to live your bet life and get $2,000 in free bets. Welcome in Adam Hoge and Nicholas Moreano with you. Will DeWitt is in the bubble today. The shorts are on. It feels like summer.
Let's go.
I honestly didn't know how I felt about wearing shorts today, and I didn't know if anybody would join me. And then Nick just apparently came straight from the gym and didn't even...
Well, I did.
You probably can't even see the shorts you're wearing, but you literally have training shorts on underneath whatever you're wearing.
For our CAO, Brandon, they are built brand, BYLT, so he'll appreciate those. I did go to the gym. I did change and shower, so this is not the workout attire that I wore there, but
okay,
just letting everybody know.
Sure. Well,
I have shorts on. I didn't get the memo, but luckily, being remote, I don't have to show my legs. I debated grabbing this webcam and moving it, but not in this show.
No, you don't need to do that. I think we'll keep it PG here today. Anyway, welcome in. Appreciate everybody joining us today. We are a couple days away from the NFL schedule being revealed. We thought we'd have some fun with that today. But, let's just be honest. I'm tired right now. I'm cranky. Anybody who stayed up last night watching that disastrous White Sox game, probably out there joining me right now in the crankiness. Wasted about 2 hours of sleep. Then, it's not like you can just fall asleep after watching that. So, yeah.
Well, Adam, the thing is, too, I was doing laundry at the time, all right, the White Sox, 6-run lead in the ninth, good, I made a bet, too. And go do the laundry, come back up. We're going into extra innings, and they even bother to see it end. But like you, it's just after winning 6 games too, in a 6-game winning streak, it's like, damn, Sox are back.
Just a good reminder that the defense is horrible, and I think that was just what last night was. Just a reminder that they are not yet a serious World Series contender until they fix the defense.
What was your tweet this morning about the AL Central, their record against?
They're 3-10 against the AL Central.
My God.
The American League Central Division, that garbage division. They are 3-10 in that division.
I actually put a bet before the game that the White Sox would win the AL Central before that game.
They probably still will. They're still a good team, but it's just you can't take them that seriously when they can't catch a baseball. Yeah. It's unbelievable. Just catch the ball.
You would think.
Yeah.
You would think. Will, any thoughts on the White Sox? Have you been kind of tuning into what they've been doing? They've been so up and down, too.
As much as I'm allowed to see, all the way down here out of the market. But, yeah, I saw that luckily this morning. So, unlike Adam, I was able to get a decent amount of rest last night. But, yeah, seeing that, obviously – being a Bears fan and watching this team for most of my lifetime, there are a lot of games that, come to mind too of hey, I've seen the Bears squander some leads before, and I just know that feeling all too well.
Oh, I think that's a good way to segue into what we want to talk about here, Will. What's the game that comes up in your mind where, it looks like it's the Bears are inching towards victory and then, nope, we're going to forget about that one.
I wouldn't say it was inching towards victory, but that 2018 Matt Nagy's first game against the Packers, right? That halftime, they had that whole first half. The offense was flying. They were scoring points. The defense and Khalil Mack were, taking over that ball game. And you come out of halftime and, Aaron Rodgers does what we've seen all too well. But that's the one that comes to mind first and definitely has some sting to it now. So now I feel like Adam did last night.
See, I think the only thing about that, the only reason why I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, Will, is because as painful as that was, it was still, you came away coming out of that game going, ooh, there's something different about this team. They're maybe better than we thought they were. Mm-hmm. And Khalil Mack had his performance, and I just... Yes, it hurt that they lost that game. Yeah. There's no question about it, and it deserves to be, mentioned here in the segment without a doubt. But I don't know, and fans feel the way they feel, and obviously fans should have been upset in that moment. But I remember, as somebody who was there covering the game, doing a post-game hit on WGN at the time, being like, "Look, I understand that was bad, and that can't happen. You can't blow leads, especially the Packers. But there was a lot of good to take away from that game for a team that's been bad for a long time. And then they turned out to be a 12-4 football team.
They did. I was like, at first I thought you were disagreeing that was the first one that came to my mind. And I was like, if you're reading it, let me know.
I cannot read your mind. I cannot disagree with that part. Sorry.
I think I had a shock face. It's like, really? How did you know? But no, that one makes sense. I think what hurt the most I remember when Nick and I doing that post game too, it's like Aaron Rodgers got carted off the field and then he came back. Like at that point, I was like, we got this in the bag. Brent Hundley, I think, was out there, and I thought it was just a Bears victory, case and shut. We could have closed our eyes, did something else, and came back to a game that we could talk about a Bears winning, and that would have been an awesome one for Matt Nagy to kind of kick off his era. But yes, you're right. Like the overall consensus after the fact was like, this team could be, it's a little bit more ahead than maybe than we thought, and could have been a fun season ahead, and it was, but. Yeah, just the fact that he got carted off and then came back and had to go full superhero mode on us, like that sucked.
It definitely did. For me, this one didn't hurt as much, but it looked like the Bears are going to win. I go back to 2020, Bears versus Lions at Soldier Field. The Bears had a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and they scored a touchdown right to begin that quarter. And then Bilal Nichols gets an interception on the next possession for the Lions, and then there's 9:22 left in the game, and the Bears offense goes punt, fumble, turnover on downs, while the Lions offense goes punt, touchdown. Lions end up winning that game 34-30, but it kind of just looked like that the Bears were going to, win that game, but obviously we saw how that ended up, and it was just, I think, indicative of the entire season, right? It wasn't a good team. It lost to the Lions finally. And, so it looked like the Bears were inching towards that victory, but like the White Sox, gave it up and ended up in the loss column.
I think that was another example, too, of the Bears, I don't want to say overreacting to one, moment, because there was, at that point, the Trubisky era was what it was. Yeah. But you had the fumble, you had that big play. But, I feel like that's the play that got Charles Leno kicked off the team.
Yeah, honestly. Right?
Right? Or was that Jermaine Ifedi?
No, wait.
That was Jermaine Ifedi. I'm sorry. That was Jermaine Ifedi.
He's not on the team anymore either. But
yeah. And I remember, actually, Jermaine Ifedi, I think, played pretty well the last, 6-7 games at right tackle, and that was the one sack allowed. That was the one kind of mistake he had during that stretch. But yeah, that was a tough one, especially because it was the 6th straight loss. And
that's right. Yeah. Yep. So add that onto it, and that's why it definitely hurts.
It could have had a 4-game winning streak, actually, had they gotten that, because they went on to win 3 straight games after that.
Yep.
But obviously didn't really matter all that much. All right. For me, I go a little bit farther back, and I think this is, just in my brain, what's most comparable in terms of the pain and how the White Sox lost that game last night and how the Bears lost this game. The Broncos game against Tim Tebow when Marion Barber ran out of bounds. Because not only did you blow a game, but you did it in stupid fashion.
Yeah.
Right? Like last night, just catch the ball and you win the game. Granted, the bullpen was terrible and all that, right? But if you just catch the ball, the game's over. Okay? And this was, if you just stay in bounds, which you're taught to do, the game's over. And then you lost to an annoying player like Tim Tebow. And last night, the White Sox lost to an annoying player in Josh Naylor. Right?
Yeah.
Which, good for him. I would love, actually, when I say, I'm being very sarcastic when I say, I would love to see the White Sox throw at him today. I do not mean that, because I do not advocate that, because it would just actually make me more angry, because if you want him to shut up, then catch the baseball.
Yeah.
Just catch the baseball. You don't need to throw it at, and I'm not sure the White Sox are going to do that, but he sure celebrated a lot last night.
Oh, yeah, running those bases.
He rubbed it in. But again, you had control over that. Yes. And, the Bears should have won that game against the Broncos too.
Yeah, it all hurts. And that's what this segment was for, just to kind of relive the moments that hurt. But
Just a nice segment of pain on a Tuesday.
Yeah, way to go. Like that's the positive mood kind of started. Honorable mention, Nick, would be the Dolphins game that we were at. Like 21-point third quarter that the Bears had, and then they I think got outscored. What was it, like 18-7 in the fourth quarter, and then that overtime, the missed field goal, like. And I think we forgot that one, or at least I did off the top of my head, just due to like almost like all the heat stroke that I think everyone was like experiencing that day in Miami when we were down there. But that's another one too. Like we were just leaving that stadium like this, pissed off.
Well, yeah, because it was such a fun time. We got to bring some of the listeners to the game, and then Akeem Hicks has that fumble right at the goal line too, and there's like this chance that they're gonna win, and then they didn't. The Bears couldn't handle the heat.
I think some of the commenters have mentioned the London game too.
Oh, that's
yeah. I mean, not quite the same like blowing it type fashion, but comparable in
just
the pain,
yeah,
and like the opportunity that was there. Now you did have a backup quarterback out there. Akeem Hicks got hurt in that game. Like a lot of things went wrong. I understand the pain. I certainly think that might be on top of Matt Nagy's list of painful losses, because as some of our commenters are pointing out there, like Martin, that's when everything went downhill.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I'll never forget the look in Nagy's eye the following morning when we had a press conference with him at the JW in London. And there was only a few of us in that room because I think a lot of the reporters had left already trying to get back to the States, but he was you could just tell he was so disgusted. And he said, like, we're going to make some changes, and that was, like, Kyle Long's last game. That whole thing happened. Wow. But, again, it was, like, kind of overreacting, like almost taking one game too personally. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Like the Cody Parkey thing. Not that, like, Cody Parkey obviously deserved to be, gone. The Bears had to make changes on their offensive line after that London game. It was just, like, the way it was done and handled, like it's like they put too much energy into one problem instead of focusing on a lot of different things. Does that make sense? Like
it does, yeah.
Like thinking that Cody Parkey was the only problem in 2018. That wasn't the case,
No,
and then you saw what happened in the 2019 season. But the last regime certainly reacted to tough losses like in an extreme way.
Another one was at Green Bay last year. Remember how like devastating like Matt Nagy looked after they played surprisingly well against the Packers at Lambeau Field. But I remember seeing Matt Nagy. It almost looked like he had just gotten out of the locker room like crying a little bit, like there puffy face, red eyes, and stuff. But you could tell that loss really took a toll on him. I think at that point kind of knows where his trajectory is going in his with his Bears career as a head coach. But yeah, now that you mention that, Adam, like there were definitely some losses in this last regime that just took a toll.
Like the double doink. But
yes,
that one's kind of implied, I feel like.
Yeah, and we're seeing Staley's reaction at the very end there is still hilarious, just seeing him fall down.
Yeah, I find that. It brings me joy, actually, watching that, in
joy.
a weird way.
We need more of that right now.
Thank God he was there in the background to fall over. All right, well, we'll lighten up the mood a little bit here. We are going to have fun with the Bears schedule coming up, make some predictions for the schedule in the next segment. But we also want to talk about some of the Bears players from last year who are no longer with the team that are still unsigned.
Yeah.
Because some of these names are surprising, some of them not so much. But, you got guys like Eddie Goldman, Akeem Hicks, Danny Trevathan, our friend Nick Foles recently made available, who are not signed. Guys, who do you think is the best ex-Bear that is not currently signed?
I'm going to go with Eddie Goldman as the guy that's the best Bear. I think that obviously what happened towards the end of his career here just didn't quite work out. One, having the COVID season, and then it never seemed like he got into a rhythm when he even played last season. So I think he still has, a couple good years of football in him. Like, if the Ravens were to sign like an Eddie Goldman, like I would say like, oh, that's a perfect pairing. Like that makes a lot of sense. And why the a team like Baltimore would do that. Obviously, I don't know if that's like the biggest need for them right now, but like Eddie Goldman's still younger. I think the youngest one out of all these four guys we just mentioned. I still think he still has some good football left in him.
I think if we're going to say best player in terms of like when healthy and available, Akeem Hicks would be, the top of the list. But if we're taking the current situation, history, injury history included, and all those variables, Eddie Goldman taking the year off, coming back, not really the same player that we saw. So it's hard to, at least for me, to peg him as that. I'm going to go with a guy that wasn't listed, actually, and go with Tashawn Gibson. He's someone that had 4 interceptions over the past 2 years in Chicago. I think he started in or played in 28 games here. So very available as well, over 100 tackles. So a lot of production. Obviously, he's not a great player. He's a good one at that. But with Akeem Hicks, his injury concerns, I don't know. Same thing with Eddie Goldman. Will he ever return to what we saw in 2018? Who knows? So for me, I'll go with the guy that wasn't listed. Like I said, I think Tashawn Gibson, out of who's available, could help a team, being a plug-and-play safety for wherever he ends up.
I like that Doug said in the comments, Rodney Adams. I don't know if that's a joke or not. Rodney Adams actually signed. He is on the Jets.
He is.
At least last I checked, unless he got cut again. But that is a funny answer, I guess. I mean, if healthy, I think the runaway answer is Akeem Hicks. Like, Akeem Hicks was still playing good football when he was healthy. He's just at the point where I just have to imagine teams are worried that he can stay healthy. I also wonder, because I don't feel like it got enough attention, but that the locker room dust up after the last home game, that stuff can be carried around with you a little bit. So while it got out and was reported, Adam Johns had that story. Then I think everybody kind of forgot about it because Akeem Hicks isn't here anymore. But I think, on his resume, as teams are thinking about signing him, that's something that at least needs to be explained. So, I don't know. Akeem Hicks is still, in my opinion, a very good football player when healthy. But it just seems like you're running out of healthy weeks with him.
Yeah, honestly. Another guy that I didn't put on this list initially, but like a Marquise Goodwin. Like, again, is a guy that didn't do much for the Bears, but has a very specific, niche in an offense. He brings the speed. He's a vertical threat. Could he be someone?
I was about to say, what is that niche?
Yeah. Speed. Speed is all he's got. And we didn't really see much of that, play out here in Chicago when he was in Matt Nagy's offense. But, yeah, there's not a lot of players that kind of – I mean, maybe there's a reason why they're unsigned, right? So whether it's injuries or just haven't been productive or, for Danny Trevathan's case, we saw his kind of career kind of going on the downturn. But, yeah, it's could it also be, Adam, that, guys like Goldman, Hicks, they are veterans. Like, you can skip training camp or, like,
sure,
these camps, and then you can get signed.
There is a market in August. I mean, there definitely is. And some teams get more desperate.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess there's even a slim chance some of these guys could end up back in Chicago. I doubt it. I mean, the door is definitely closed on Nick Foles, for one. Mm-hmm. I fear Danny Trevathan's career is just over.
Yeah.
The way he was running around towards the end there. And then you have player, I feel like the door is probably closed on Akeem Hicks. And I would also wonder about the scheme, because it wasn't really until he got to the Bears and got in that Vic Fangio scheme that he really took off. Eddie Goldman, again, the questions about his desire level of still playing. I mean, he's a guy who I think can fit in a lot of different defenses and up front.
Just does he want it at this point?
Does he want to? So I don't know. It's those are tough situations, I guess. And so my guess is none of those guys do come back, but you do sometimes have injuries, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, such and such is coming back.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Any thoughts?
Hey, you never know. Ryan Pace, man, over there in Atlanta. I was surprised he didn't bring in these guys. Like, when you listen to him, I swear he signed every available Chicago Bears free agent. But if you're looking at a team, later on this offseason that can pick up Akeem Hicks or, bring Danny Trevathan out of retirement and, scoot him in on the wheelchair, whatever you'll need, it's going to be Ryan Pace.
He was actually the Falcons were looking to Nick Kwiatkowski There was a report that
There
the
you
Falcons, are connected with Nick Kurkowski, and it makes so much sense. Every ex-Bear, Will brings up a really good point. Look at Atlanta. See what they're going to do there.
Maybe that's one of the games we'll talk about in our schedule predictions coming up next, because they do play each other this year.
Yep.
But before we get there, the best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app. Use code CHGO when you sign up, and if you do that right now, you'll get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content. You'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free t-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making a $50 or more first-time deposit at PointsBet. Any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we will help you out. Your home for live in-play betting just got even better. Introducing PointsBet's new feature, the live NBA same-game parlay. I feel like I would have enjoyed last night a little bit more if I had done a live NBA same-game parlay and just watched basketball.
Yeah, you probably would.
I think that probably would have been a more enjoyable evening. I know it definitely would have been for you, based on whatever parlay you had going on with the White Sox game.
So I had the Giants win it. Giants money line, and Carlos Rodon pitched. They won, and the White Sox just needed to not blow a 6-run lead.
Carlos Rodon being like the best pitcher in baseball isn't helping either.
Yeah.
Hey, you can combine your favorite bets anytime during the game. Boost your live same-game parlays too. Watch live, parlay live, and you missed your cue. You can't yell out boost on the sideline and then miss your cue when I tee you up.
Boost. Thank you, Natalie.
There we go.
Woo.
You yelled out boost, and then I teed you up to say it again, and you blew it.
And then you rolled away in your chair. Eddie rolled away in his chair.
That's Lawrence. Hey, online sign-up is available in Illinois. Download the PointsBet app right now. Register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. What are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
Before I tell you about CHGO, I'm going to give you my play of the week. You don't have to listen to this.
You got this right last week.
I got one of them. But again, you don't have to listen. Look, it's finally something. We're in shorts. It's hot outside. Yohan Moncada is back. Went 1 for 4 in his first game back, and that's all right. He had a walk, a base hit. And
He looked completely overmatched when they needed to hit in the ninth inning.
Yes.
Sorry.
But if I had to place $10 on him hitting a home run today, I would hesitantly do that because I've been on a really bad streak. But you could try it out, and if you win, then you can come to me and say, like, wow, Nick, thanks a lot for getting me that money. But, again, at your own discretion. That's all I'm going to say. I am no betting expert. That's about it. So,
Wow.
Would you do it, Adam? Would
No.
You? Okay.
No, I would not.
All right. Yeah,
Sorry.
actually, I don't want last time I gave a bet involving Tim Anderson. Your dad bet on it, and it didn't hit. And
Yep.
then, so.
And now he's mad at you.
Yep. So, I'm sorry, guys. But,
I would go with Tim Anderson or Luis Robert.
yeah, but I'm going.
Moncada just feels like
plus
he's chasing.
450, though.
Okay.
Get that money. Try. Maybe. Don't do it. All right. Let me tell you about something that is guaranteed to be a great thing for your investment. That's CHGO. As you know, we have all premium content from all of our great writers, whether you are a White Sox fan, Bears fan, anything. We have it here at CHGO.
Well, and I will say that's one of the reasons why I'm extra tired this morning, is because even after all that happened last night, I was like, well, I have to see what Sean and Herb have to say about that disaster. So I stayed up and I watched our CHGO White Sox podcast.
See, late at night when you just need to vent.
Herb only said like 5 swear words in the first 3 minutes.
Only 5. Okay.
I think the question was, Herb, how are you doing? And he went for 7 straight minutes. Just ranting. It was hilarious, and I enjoyed it. And I said, thank you guys very much. I am now going to go try to sleep.
See,
Yeah.
that's what CHGO
That's what we got
can
for you.
help you with. Exactly. You also get a free T-shirt of your choice when you become a member, and you get access to the members-only Discord, the CHGO Lounge, and of course we have podcasts and live shows like this one on every team every single day. So come join this amazing family that is constantly growing here at CHGO.
I just thought of a comp, too. Cody Parkey is White Sox defense.
Okay.
It's like that problem you knew was a problem all season, but you had a good team, so you just kind of like some of our commenters, like Lance Lynn's coming back. Team's good. I agree with you. I think the White Sox are good. I think they're going to win the division. But I'm telling you that defense is Cody Parkey. It's that problem that's going to come back to bite you in the playoffs.
And what can they do about that? Like, it's just...
I don't know. All right, let's get in the schedule a little bit because,
comes out on Thursday.
it'll be some fun.
You and your horn yesterday got some people driving, giving them panic attacks.
Yeah, we apologize to anybody who may have been involved in a car wreck yesterday because of that horn.
Yeah, that was. It got us the first time. That one.
It seemed like a better volume.
Yeah, very subtle.
Yeah, our producer Natalie today. She
knows what
keeping it real with the schedule horn. We appreciate that, especially some of our listeners who tweeted in about. Being on the
road and hearing
the Brooklyn Bridge and almost, driving into a guardrail because that sound went off. We apologize for that. Okay, we thought it'd be fun to make some predictions about the Bears' schedule. It's coming out on Thursday night, and there's been some games that have been trickling out. None of them involving the Bears so far. I think they announced this morning that the Broncos will play the Rams on Christmas Day.
Yes,
and it's a Nickelodeon game.
Oh. I did not.
Or maybe I missed that part.
CBS and Nickelodeon.
CBS and Nickelodeon.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe they'll do the what was it that the MVP?
The MVP?
That Mitch Trubisky won?
Yes.
You get the slime going? Yeah. Anyway, I will kick this off. We all thought we'd make some 5 predictions. We kind of just go around the horn and make some of these. So I will predict. It's one interesting. By the way, I have some nuggets in today's Bears Things column that is up now at allchgo.com if you want to check that out for our members. And some of these questions came up. But one thing I noticed on the schedule is, barring injuries and whatever the hell's going on with the 49ers at quarterback, there's a chance that we are going to get a Justin Fields versus Mac Jones game, a Justin Fields versus Zach Wilson game, and a Justin Fields versus Trey Lance game. This season. And I am predicting that one of those 3 games, at least one of those 3 games, will be in primetime.
Okay. Yeah, I have something very similar to that, Adam, for one of my predictions. I guess I'll just go ahead and say one of them. I have the Bears playing the Jets, which would be Zach Wilson versus Justin Fields, again, if they're both healthy, on Monday Night Football. Because I feel like those matchups on Monday Night Football are just not the greatest, right? Some of them. There you go. What's enticing? 2 young quarterbacks. Same draft class.
I remember, I want to say it was a Week 3 Bears-Jets game on Monday Night Football in the Trestman era. That sound about right? I remember being there.
I tried to forget the Trestman era, but
yeah, I know. I apologize. We can't shy away from our history on the show, guys. I mean,
true.
I apologize. I know it brings down the mood every time we talk about the past, but that's not our fault.
No, it's not. What do you got, Will, for one of your predictions over there?
Well, apparently we all like primetime games and young quarterbacks. I had Jets and Patriots in primetime, so very, very similar. I don't have the Bears playing Thanksgiving as a second one as well. I don't see it happening this year. I think it's rumored Lions and Dolphins are going to be Thanksgiving, and I know usually the Bears play the Lions. I believe I've seen them play the Cowboys once in my lifetime too on Thanksgiving, but my gut's saying no Thanksgiving game for the Bears.
So I am still going to go with the Thanksgiving game just because 3 out of the last 4 years they've been playing the Lions. There seems to be something there they like about that. The Bears still rate well, and it's kind of an excuse to throw them into a game. Even if they're not good in November, you can put them on Thanksgiving. People are still going to watch it, right? Yeah. And the chances of it happening are technically doubled because they're playing at Dallas this year, too.
Yep.
So that's another option. It could be one of those 2 games.
Yeah.
And one thing I put in my Bears Things column is you could also see back-to-back Thursday games, because if they do play on Thanksgiving, they could play – if they play the Lions on Thanksgiving again, they could play Dallas the following week, because the Cowboys are frequently They play back-to-back Thursday games following Thanksgiving, and that's actually happened twice already for the Bears, 2014 and 2019. They played the Lions on Thanksgiving and then played the Cowboys the following week. Now, the one catch about that was those Cowboys games were at Soldier Field. They were not. They were not in Dallas, but it's still a possibility. So something to keep in mind.
That was actually one of my other predictions at Thursday night versus the Cowboys. I feel like the last time, I think it was Mitchell Trubisky had that nice touchdown run in that game. They beat the Dallas Cowboys. I think they were favored in that one. The Cowboys were, but the Bears ended up getting the victory there. But that was another one of my predictions. The Bears, there's not going to be many primetime games, but I have them playing the Cowboys on Thursday night.
All right. For me, I have the Bears starting and ending the season on the road against division rivals. Week 1 in Detroit, and then Week 18 in, your favorite place, Nick, Minnesota.
Yep.
Yeah, they always, I feel like, it's been like the last couple seasons now. They've ended in Minnesota.
Last couple. It's been like the last 8.
Okay.
With the one exception at home, they played the Packers. 2020 was the only recent year where that game wasn't. But it was still, I think, just the week before that. They went to Minnesota. So that was going to be one of mine, too, is a January Minnesota game. A post-Christmas Minnesota game is almost a lock, unless they finally change that. I don't know why they like that. I think the thing is, the schedule's really hard to do. So sometimes when they just have like a matchup that they can lock in there and they don't have to play with like the Matrix and figure it out, I think that's the only explanation for it. It's the same. The Bears have played. Here's another one of my predictions: Bears-Packers, Lambeau Field, night game.
Ooh, okay.
Because in all the years I've covered the Bears, so this goes back to 2011, I've covered a one-day game there.
Really?
Every other year it's been a night game. It's always in primetime. Always in primetime. It wouldn't have, I think 2019 would have been the year it was a day game. I think that makes sense. 2019 was the year it was a day. That was the they trick play at the end of the game. If Jesper Horsted had just flipped the ball, it would have been a touchdown. What happened there, Will?
I know, right? I said this guy catches touchdowns, okay? He doesn't lateral for touchdowns, but his awareness, he should have seen it. So I'll take some responsibility here, being the leader of the Jesper Horsted fan club. But, yeah, what the hell?
They could have won that game.
They had it
or
set
that
up
a forced
perfectly.
overtime. I think that was. I think that would have.
Did they have to get a 2-point conversion?
Yeah, I think they still had to get a 2-point conversion too. But it was still
they set it up though. It
was right there. It was a great play. Yep. They shouldn't have fired Matt Nagy because of that play. Just kidding. That was a joke.
Jeez, Adam, like doing this, I got me. I'm like, I don't have anything more to say about this. No, I went to the Bears-Packers game. It was a night game, as Adam recalled, like 2012. Got tickets the day before off of like StubHub. I was 20 at the time, and I was working. I was like, hey, the Bears play tomorrow. I'm off. Can I go? And hey, you're 20, you have a little bit of extra income. I'll take a trip to Green Bay. And I think Cutler threw 4 interceptions that game, and I had to drive home very somber-like, and I think I blacked out by the time I got back to like the city area too. It was a long day. I should have got a hotel.
Oh, damn. That's one way to spend a day in Lambeau and then drive back, and that's a good drive for you, Will. But speaking, you mentioned like the January games in Minnesota, Adam. Like the first time I got to go there to cover a game, I didn't know where the media entrance was at, and my God, like I thought my eyebrows, eyelashes froze solid. Like where do I get into the stadium? So that ends up happening again. I'll definitely have. I'll be more prepared for sure.
It is a great stadium.
It is.
Like once you're in there, that is if you had to play somewhere in January, and that might be another reason why they do that. I mean,
I would want the new Bears Stadium to be something like what they got in Minnesota. That would be, I'd be happy with that for sure. Another one of the predictions I have is that the Bears open up the season at Atlanta. They did that in 2017, week 1. Mm-hmm. No other connection other than that, but I'm just going to put it out there. Bears, Falcons, week 1 in Atlanta. That's all I got.
Cool. Ryan Pace can watch Ryan Poles' team and learn a lesson or two maybe along the way and how to construct
Chicago Falcons,
a
yep.
capable
Was that
team.
are you sure that was a road game in 2017?
No, this one's going to be a road game.
Okay.
That one was at
2017
home
was at
Soldier Field.
home, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say. Okay. Will, you got another one?
Not really, no. I was trying to,
Okay.
I went through and I made all 17, and I'm trying to extrapolate lessons from it, and so far that's what I got. I have Justin Fields going up against Trey Lance because I have the 49ers week 15. That's late enough in the season where maybe he'll make a move if things kind of happen over there in Santa Clara. But yeah, that's about it right now.
Okay. I had a couple more. Let's see here. The New York games, I think we talked about this yesterday. Back-to-back New York games.
Mm-hmm.
New Jersey games.
New Jersey, yep.
Yeah.
Jersey, yep.
I did look this up. They did play. It was 2006, the year they went to the Super Bowl. They did play 3 straight road games. Giants, Jets, Patriots.
Okay.
3 straight trips out east. And that could technically happen again this year because the Patriots are a road game too.
Adam, was that that Giants game? Was that the field goal return for Hester? Am I remembering that right or no? Or would that be?
I thought that was at home.
No, I think it
Was there?
definitely New York. I think it was a road.
That was away.
game. Yeah.
It may have been because
But I
that was his
wonder-
rookie year.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay. So that was that year. What a fantastic return, Devin Hester. Love that guy.
I guess that was my 5 predictions. Will, go through since you did the whole schedule, give us your first 5 weeks.
Sure. In Detroit, at home against Washington, at home against Minnesota, heading over to Jersey for the Jets, and then back home to face Levy and the Texans.
Where do you have the bye week?
I didn't do that.
So
For
they had
some
week
reason,
10.
I went the order, and I was like, this
Okay.
is how I feel. I went with my gut / checking all the leaks and doing process of elimination with some of the opponents. This team can't be here, and I did reverse engineered it from there. But we all know none of these are probably going to be correct. I thought it'd been neat if we all did a full schedule and had a competition, and whoever got the most or the least.
We still have time.
There is
we still have
time.
time.
I feel like we all would have gotten 1.
Yep, that would have been it,
Hopefully.
Adam. Exactly that. We would have tied at 1, and that was a waste of time.
You know what won't happen real quick, Adam? There's not going to be the home away. That was lit last
weird.
season was home away. Every single week was different. That is definitely not going to happen this year. There's going to be, back-to-back road games, back-to-back home games at some point. But the Bears last year, not only did they have a tough schedule, they were always, again, alternating each and every week.
Brian asked if I went to the Vegas game last year. I did. And then he said there's no West Coast games. That is something that we should talk about because the schedule is not only easier in terms of opponents this year, but the travel is very, very favorable. I think they travel the 3rd least amount of miles or something in the entire league. I want to say the Steelers have it the best.
I can pull that up actually
I know got the stats.
I think they're right, but they really don't travel that far. They do not go farther west than Dallas.
That's not bad.
So they will play all of their games this year. The Bears will play all of their games in the Eastern or Central time zones.
For traveling purposes, I think that matters. Just not having to go all the way to the West Coast, but staying, I guess, more local, if you want to put it that way. But yeah, that matters. Will, do you have the official stats of how the travel?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steelers have the least, as Adam mentioned. The Bears have the 5th least amount of travel miles this year at 10,086. And to put it in perspective, there are 10 teams that travel over 20,000 miles this season, and the Seahawks have the most at almost 30. They're at 29,446 total miles, and they'll be traveling across 34 time zones this season, where the Bears only have to do that 8 times. So between that and then again the relatively easy schedule, I think is the third, one of the very easiest ones in terms of strength of schedule. that's a sneaky recipe that can really benefit this football team. Like, not have to worry about jet lag, all those weird start times. Like, primarily they're playing in Central Time, in Eastern Time, and that's not, all too difficult to kind of adjust to. It's only a 1 hour difference.
Yeah. Look, we have Will DeWitt, Bears host, and also travel guide here, so love it.
Yeah, but not good if you're trying to get those airline miles.
That's true. That is very true.
Trying to get that airline status, not good for that.
No, it definitely isn't.
Last year was great for that. You had L.A., Vegas. Wasn't there another? Seattle. L.A. again for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Super Bowl's in Phoenix next year. Got that.
It is, and, we also, obviously, we have Denver location, Phoenix location. Maybe we'll be down there doing some collaborations. Who knows? Before we continue this conversation, though, you guys, I got to, again, tell you about Pointsbet. If you enjoy CHGO, one way to help us to continue to grow is to download the Pointsbet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. Not only are you going to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll help you out. And in case you missed it, online sign-up, of course, is available in Illinois. You'll be signing up with the fastest sportsbook, easier than ever, so you can start living your bet life in seconds. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Got a lot of good stuff on allchgo.com if you have those memberships, and if you don't, you should go sign up. Just looking at the website right now, we got Jay Zawoski on the idea of Barry Trotz as the next Blackhawks head coach.
Okay.
Obviously, Vinny Duber has last night's White Sox collapse covered, as well as a story on what the heck they're going to do with Johnny Cueto. We got, the Cubs, I don't know what to call them right now, but, they're going.
They're there.
They're a baseball team.
They're a baseball team that we cover. Yeah, that's about all I can.
He did.
I didn't hear that. What?
Kyle Hendricks won 8.2 innings.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So he shoved.
Yeah.
As Lawrence is screaming at you from the sidelines.
Yes.
Hi, Lawrence.
I don't think Lawrence realizes he does not have a microphone today. And our listeners are very confused. Also have you covered with the Bulls. All of our teams, Red Stars, Fire coverage has started. We got you covered at CHGO and at allchgo.com, where you also get those free shirts too when you sign up. And if you're already signed up, go check out the CHGO locker, because we have a ton of great shirts for you up there right now that you have access to purchase. And we appreciate everybody that has supported us here in our first couple months. Where we on month number 3 already.
Yeah.
It's flying by. All right. Last segment of the show today. We do have a super chat here. Actually, I want to address this. And
I think this is about your shorts.
Yes, this weather is a garbage man's nightmare. Garbage men are people too.
It's actually grab bag men are people too.
What's
crap.
Little typo. Yeah. Grab bag men.
Gotcha. But garbage men are people too, and we and grab bag men are people too as well. We understand and sympathize with you that it is hot out today. It is muggy today.
Yeah.
And I will also say I refuse to complain about it, and I will not complain about it. I will go back and think about all the complaining I did about the last 3 months of weather.
You'll hear some complaining out of me. For sure.
Yeah.
I don't. Once it gets too hot for me, I start complaining.
Yeah. So I'm not going to be that guy. Live it up. Maybe Nick's shorts can get even shorter. We'll find out here on the CHGO Bears podcast over the next few months, if that's possible. But, it is a little warm in here. We're fine. I'd much rather have this. Think about all those days, Nick, where it was it literally felt like it was 40 degrees in here as we were doing a show.
Yeah, no, that was terrible.
No.
But, again, the heat and me, we don't mix.
All right.
Sorry. I'm just thinking of a chart that we can come up with, the higher the temperature, the shorter the shorts for Nick, and find out
Yeah, I know. We're gonna have to. You guys measured me that one day.
Yep. Measuring my
We're gonna have to
shorts.
start measuring your shorts.
Every episode that you wear shorts, like we have to do like a pre-taping measurement so we can like belt it out on the show, Nick.
Yeah.
All right, this is the thing.
Here's Lawrence too chiming in from the sideline since he doesn't have his mic in the
Sun's out.
comments.
Yeah.
Oh,
Out.
there
He will
is,
do
yeah.
anything possible
Yep. Sun's
to
out.
add to the show.
Sun's out. Cavs out. We had my son in his first baseball game last night. Finally, because with all the rain and half the practices have been canceled and it's been horrible. And there were people complaining about the weather last night. I'm like, are you kidding me? Stop it. Just stop it. We're playing baseball. It was a nice evening. It was a little windy, but you can't have it all in Chicago. We know that one, especially when it comes to the weather.
How'd your son do?
Yeah. Yeah. Brian asks, Hoge and Nick, didn't you think Bears fans took over Allegiant Stadium? A lot of us out west.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of Bears fans out there for sure. There was a section, the press box, right to the right of the press box, kind of one of the upper levels, all Bears fans. And there was a chant they started that then circulated throughout the entire stadium. I was talking to Herb Howard. I'm like, they started that. And then you just see it kind of trickle down the entire stadium. But for sure, Bears fans really took over there.
There's always a game every year where you just know, that's Bears fans always travel. But there's always one game where you're like, yeah, that's the one that they are going to take over. And actually, they had a couple last year because last year was a good travel schedule, as we talked about. But Tampa's always a big one.
For sure.
So you had that. That was a horrible game.
Dallas might be this year.
Yeah, I'm thinking because the schedule's not as sexy this
No.
year. The opponents, there's not that one obvious game. I think I agree with you. I was going to go with Dallas because they haven't played there since 2016, I think.
Okay.
It's been.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I mean, New York's always a good place to go, but there's two options there, I guess.
Atlanta,
Yeah. New England is in the middle of nowhere. It's like an hour from Boston. It's a good trip. I mean, these are still good trips you can go on, but there's not that one obvious game where you think
everyone's going there. Yeah.
But Vegas was definitely that last year where it's just everybody you knew was in Vegas that weekend. It felt like.
What about you, Will? Is there okay, you can go to one game, road game? Does any appeal to you?
It'd be Dallas. I just want to see that big screen in person, honestly.
True. Yeah.
It's stadiums. I mean, it's cool, but it's also, I don't know. There's something about it. It's almost too big in a weird way. It loses some luster being too big. Martin asks in a super chat here, we appreciate you. Which matchup on the Bears 2022 schedule excites you guys the most?
I'm going to go with the matchup against
Lovie Smith.
Yeah, that was exciting. I'm going with the Jets, though, because those are two teams that obviously have young quarterbacks there, but you kind of want to make those comparisons to see how are the Jets handling their situation with the young quarterback and, a fairly new head coach in Robert Saleh, and then obviously you have Matt Eberflus and Justin Fields. So I'm looking forward to seeing, again, wherever that matchup ends up in the schedule, where are those two teams at? And what's what are their problems that they're having? What are the strengths that you can see? Is there a future for these guys? I'm really curious to see, again, where that matchup ends up being and ultimately how it plays out. That's, going into that game, it's going to be Justin Fields versus Zach Wilson, who's going to have the better game and things like that. So that's the one I'm looking forward to.
And we can look at the supporting casts and actually to see how they stack up, because all the talk is that, Justin Fields doesn't have anyone where some of these other people apparently have. And again, maybe the Jets have more, but I've seen even Brett Coleman out there, highlighting the Jaguars roster. And you're like, I think I'd take what the Bears are kind of building over here. But just looking at it in terms of the opponent that I'm excited to watch, maybe not the game per se, but seeing the Bills, which we saw last year in preseason, but that was, a preseason game, but seeing them would be a really interesting game overall up close because they're a really good football team. But outside of that, maybe the Patriots for very similar reasons, Nick. Like all these games against these younger quarterbacks going up against one another, I think is always going to be like the big talk as we're looking into the season ahead.
Yeah, the Buffalo game I think is just like a fun matchup. I don't know if it's going to go well for the Bears, but seeing the Bills in person, seeing Josh Allen, I think that's a fun game.
What about Green Bay, you guys? Like, is anybody like? I know obviously it's very one-sided, but like Luke Getsy, that offense, seeing what this new regime does against their arch rival, seeing if they can finally turn the corner. I know yesterday I got some crap because I know I said early on, like, hey, 2 losses for the Bears when they play the Packers. I still am looking forward to seeing how the Bears can match up there. I don't expect anything to really change, but looking forward to seeing what they can do.
Well, I think the answer is just obviously the Dolphins because of Mike McDaniel.
Okay.
And just having a post-game press conference with Mike McDaniel.
That would be, yes.
There you go. At least for the Packers this year, Nick, it would be the Packers without Devontae Adams, which I would be interested to see as well, because that's been a matchup that's been a thorn in the side for the Bears for years now. And now without having that weapon to defend all the, inside, outside, and they can focus more on the overall picture here that's based off of what Green Bay's been able to kind of build around Aaron Rodgers. Let's see how that will help the Bears, especially now with their young DBs and Brisker and Gordon.
Yeah.
So our guy Don Burr, the Lions fan, he's coming in with a super chat. I think we need to charge him a premium though to get his super chats in. Like he can't just throw $2 out there and just automatically get in with his Lions comments. Like I think we have to. Shouldn't he have to pay a premium?
20 or more, Don.
Yeah,
he's very
loyal.
consistent.
Loyal and consistently talking crap about a horrible franchise. But, there's some excitement there. Good for you, Don.
Yeah, what has he got? Super chat. Detroit clean sweep. Hutchinson 5 sacks. Okay. Okay, that's okay.
Detroit versus everybody is DBE.
That's why I'm like.
Sebastian says $20 minimum for Don. I agree. I just think that's fair. Just makes sense to me.
Appreciate it, Nando, for showing up every day.
All right. Hey, last question to you guys. We wanted to get on the show today. Post-draft, what is the most glaring need that's still on this roster? What's the biggest hole?
Well, the one that has been the biggest hole for the longest now is wide receiver, right? Just having a number one guy, someone to complement Darnell Mooney, just having more weapons again around Justin Fields. I still think that can be addressed. And if you can bring in a veteran wide receiver too, I think that does help the overall room because it is a young room, you guys. So I still think that is one of the biggest needs that the Bears still currently have after, acquiring 11 picks in this past draft.
I'm still looking for a starting offensive lineman on the interior. I know they went real heavy in the draft, but if you can bring in perhaps J.C. Treader, who gives you that center guard versatility, I think that can lead the Bears to starting a really good group of 5, whereas if they don't go in that direction, bring in another veteran, you're probably forced to play one of these rookies. And if they're ready, great. But if they're not ready, then that's going to be a vulnerability up front. And then if you want to flip it to the defensive side, 3-tech would be a very close second for me too, as well on this team. Those are like the 2. I know you mentioned X receiver, Nick. I don't know if it's all coach speak, but they seem okay without having that alpha at the position, that dominant guy, kind of trying to tailor this offense to everybody's different strengths. We'll see if that is true or not based off of their actions, but that's why I put it just a little bit lower because I'm oddly enough trying to trust what they're telling us here so far this offseason.
Yeah, I think the biggest hole is at right guard. I think that's going to be evident. Next week we'll get a chance to go out there for OTAs, and you're going to see, maybe Sam Mustipher with the first team, and then Zach Thomas, 6th-round rookie with the second team. And I don't know how you could really argue like when you see that, like, okay, that's a now maybe one of those rookies steps up and fills that hole. It's a possibility, but that's also asking a lot right now, I feel like. Now, on the defensive side, I feel a lot better about the defensive holes after addressing what they addressed in the draft. To come up with that number 2 corner, to come up with that second safety with guys that are probably going to play early, even understanding that they're rookies. I still think they're playing with fire a little bit, though, with this specific defensive scheme because of what you said, Will. The 3 technique is so important. The slot corner is so important. And they got guys right there with Tavon Young and Justin Jones that need to prove that they can stay healthy, right?
Yeah.
And so I still think that those are positions that need a little bit more help. And I still wonder if Larry Ogunjobi can be involved there.
Yeah.
So that door's completely shut and they say it's not happening. I think you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, and I think, too, with, like, the 3 tech, like Justin Jones, you mentioned, Adam, someone that hasn't stayed healthy with the Chargers, and then behind him is Mario Edwards. Is that what the next guy up would be for such an important position on this Bears defense? So, yeah, until the door is completely shut on Ogunjobi, maybe that could be an option for the Bears down the road.
At least we can all agree, the offensive line, like that right guard spot. I think there was someone in the chat that said it. Like that's the Achilles heel right now of the Chicago Bears team overall. And there are players out there that can fill that need. And as I mentioned earlier, and Adam backed up, entrusting a rookie in that spot without them proving they are ready, I think would be a huge mistake heading into week 1 if they do go that route.
Our last thing for the show today. Tom Brady already has his next job. He's not done playing football, but he will be Fox's next lead analyst whenever he decides to stop playing football. Andrew Marchand from the New York Post has the numbers on this contract, and it is ridiculous. 10 years, $375 million.
Yes.
As if Tom Brady didn't have enough money already.
Get that bread.
He is going to make more in broadcasting than he has playing football, taking the endorsements out of it. But it's actually just like football contracts. That is insane. New goals for us, right, guys? You can start signing contracts like Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, these massive, massive deals in broadcasting.
Yeah. That's the next move, right? That's the next move. But he's going to be fantastic at it, I think. Just the Tom Brady brand, what he's changed from his days in New England to what he is now. I cannot wait. Whenever that happens, because we don't know when Tom Brady's going to officially retire. But when it does, I am really looking forward to hearing him as an analyst.
What a cushy spot to be in where it's like, yeah, you can have this deal whenever you're ready. Like, you retire and we'll make the spot available to you. So 2050, here we come.
Yeah. Crazy.
Well, Tom Brady's pretty much good at everything in life, so I think he'll be good at this too. Mm-hmm. Just got to give the guy credit, and if he works as hard as he does at playing football, then
he's gonna be really.
He's gonna have a lot to. Let's just hope he doesn't forget how many downs you get, right? Because sometimes you get 5 if you're Tom Brady, but not really. You think you get 5, but you're not. They need to put Tony Romo and Tom Brady in the same booth, Martin says. Yeah, maybe. What I find interesting is if he doesn't make the Super Bowl this year, Fox has the Super Bowl. Do they throw him in the booth for the Super Bowl?
Wow.
Why not?
I don't know.
Because I don't know if that's come out today. Who's going to be the number 1 analyst this year? Is it going to be Greg Olsen? Because Kevin Burkhardt's going to be the number 1 play-by-play guy for Fox now. Is it going to be Greg Olsen? And then, you just do a 3-man booth for the Super Bowl, throw Tom Brady in there.
I'd watch.
We'd
all watch.
I would definitely watch that. All right. We are out of here for today. Appreciate everybody watching.
Donald, thank you for the super chat.
Yeah,
You're
shout
awesome.
out to
Thank
Donald.
You. Oh, Aiden Hutchinson is going to be an average player at best.
Oh.
Whoa.
Don Burr's going to be fuming for a day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Don, you can come back tomorrow with a $20 super chat to respond. But you have to wait 24 hours, so it's going to stick with you for that long. We're out of here. Follow us on Twitter at CHGO_Bears_sports_ all of our teams. I'm at Adam Hoge. He's at Nicholas Moreano. Will is at Will DeWitt. The L's are ones. We will be back tomorrow at 11 o'clock. And then Thursday, we're doubling up the shows with a schedule special for you. We will be live in the evening when the schedule is official. We will break it all down. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Talk to you then.